I am Nazar and I own an agency myself. It's called Tegra Design. Actually, I own three agencies that works with other agencies as well as, and we've been doing this for ourselves for over a year now. And we're going to show you how we've been able to generate calls booked into our calendar without much effort. So I'll get started. What I'm going to show you is not about SEO. It's not about social media ads. It's also not running Google PPC, even though we do these exact same, we provide these exact same services for our clients. We are not using them for our own sake because we just don't need to. And these are expensive methods when you're running ads. We used to do that for ourselves as well, but now we're just pretty full with the calls that we're getting from our system. So we don't really need to run any of these paid campaigns. We do SEO for our own business, but again, that's not how this system works. You're going to book discovery calls straight into your calendar. And the crazy part about all this is you are a result, all of you folks that are in this webinar are actually a result of this same exact funnel that I'm about to show you. So there is no AI, there's no automation in this funnel. It's 100% done with the system that we built. It's manual system. There's actually no way to do automation. And I'll tell you this too, I do come from a technology background. I worked in the tech industry for about 16 years. So I know about software development and AI and automation and all that stuff. But we are not using that method for this lead generation call booking system. And it only takes 30 to 60 minutes of your time every single month. And that's all it takes. And like I said, you are actually inside of this funnel right now. That's how you came and joined this masterclass, this webinar. This is the exact same way that I'm going to show you that you can also implement for your agency coaching or consulting business. Who is this going to be crucial or applicable for? If you are doing at least 10K in monthly revenue and your goal is to get to 15 to 20K, or to get to 20 to 30K if you're doing 15K right now, or to get to 25 plus K per month, this will absolutely work for you. Let's talk about what you will learn from this masterclass, right? Because I appreciate you guys coming in, investing your time in this. So we want to make sure that your time's worthwhile. So we're going to show you how this works. So I'm going to show you all the steps to copy my systems. And then I'm going to show you the results from the system. We're going to show you testimonials from another agency owner that we are currently working with. And then there's going to be a live Q&A session at the end. Real quick, let's address the elephant in the room. For those of you guys who have never met me, most of you haven't. All right, let's stop. Great. So I am a husband, a dad, and a marketer. I have a master's in IT management. I've been doing lead gen for over 10 years for my agency, Tegra Design, as well as my two other agencies, Escape Ads, which is for e-com, and then the Roofing Marketer, which is for the roofing industry. I built over 500 websites, 5,000 lead gen funnels, and we're also a Google and Bing agency partner. You might also be doing a lot of these services for your agency growth, consulting or coaching business. With that being said, this is going to be useful for agencies and coaches and consultants. For agencies, you must have a niche. This is super crucial because if you have a niche, then you can target the audience specific. This is going to be useful for agencies and coaches and consultants. For agencies, you must have a niche. This is super crucial because if you have a niche, then you can target the audience specifically for your niche. And I've just given you some examples here. I mean, you can have any niche under the sun, hospitals, clinics, if you target doctors, maybe pet groomers, landscapers, chiropractors, med spas, financial advisors, or even lawyers. Our niche is roofing. We also do HVAC. So, none of these niches are what we do, but these are some examples. Coaches, you do not need a niche. Consulting businesses, you do not need a niche because you could do life coaching for anyone. You could do founders coaching, you could do health coaching, you could do tech consulting, you could also do public speaking. And these are more broad categories. So you don't necessarily have to narrow your audience. So, for you guys, the sky's the limit. All right. So what does this system have? I'm going to walk through the overview and then I'm going to kind of narrow each down for you guys so that you understand how this works. So webinar call booking system, by the way, you are inside the webinar. So the next step would be to get calls booked. This system includes these 5 elements. The first step is obviously to have a website. I know if you have a coaching, consulting, or an agency, you must have a website. So I'm not even going to go into that. You gotta have domains and emails. I will explain it a little bit why you need the domains and the emails that are similar to your agency, coaching, or consulting business. You will need cold leads for outreach. You will need a virtual assistant to run the system for you so you don't have to do anything. And then you also will need some sort of social media presence, whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are, by the way, in all those channels. You don't have to be, but it's important to have that because that connects the dots between you and your audience, and then they start to trust you, and they show up in your webinar, in your masterclass, just like you did in mine. So for the webinar, this is a webinar system. You will need these following assets. You will need emails, you'll need domains, you'll need lead lists, and you will also need a trained virtual assistant that will manage this system end to end for you. Now, what else will you need? You obviously need a software to run this system, to run a webinar masterclass, just like I am doing here. You'll need a cold email software. You will need Calendly to book calls, obviously, and a Zoom subscription because you're in a Zoom session right now. You will need VPN because your VA will likely be in a foreign country outside of the US, so they need to be able to log into these emails as if they are in the US. You'll need a email validation software. There are several out in the market to validate the quality of the emails so that you are not getting a lot of bounce, because if you get a lot of bounce, then you will burn your domains and then you cannot use those emails again. And then you will need a Canva subscription, just like I am showing you this presentation. It is built in Canva, very easy to build. We will help you to build that if you do end up working with us at some point. Otherwise, we're happy to share templates with you that you can use to do your webinar. An email nurture software. So when people come to your webinar, let's say 30, 40, 50 people come, you will get some calls booked from that webinar. From that one session, you'll get maybe 5, 10, 15 calls booked. And some of the people that come to your webinar will not immediately book calls with you. So what you need to do is follow them around with an email nurture sequence that sends them out value, that gives them offers for them to take advantage of, and I will show you examples of that in this webinar as well. All right, so now we're going into the steps needed for you to book calls, because you can buy hundreds and thousands of leads, but if they don't result into discovery calls into your calendar, it has no value, right? So in order to book calls, what are the steps that need to happen? And then you will also need, I'm going to walk you through step by step. And by the way, you will get a recording of this at the end of this session. We will edit it and send it over to you, so you don't have to memorize all this. Don't worry, we will give you this also. But if you'd like to learn more, we will also give you an opportunity to book a call with me one-on-one, so I can walk you through the process. But for these steps, I'm going to just quickly walk through this. For your side, for you only have to prepare your webinar slides, and you only have to do it once. That's it. And we will show you how to do that. You want to create posts and post them on social media so that you are relevant, so that people trust you. You build your personal brand, and that's basically all you need to do. And then obviously you need to attend the calls that have been booked from your webinar, right? Now, look at all the things that your virtual assistant will do for you. They'll set up the domains, they'll set up the emails, they'll find your leads, they'll create the invite, they'll create the Zoom invite, they'll create the banner, they'll create and send webinar invites, just like we sent you webinar invite for this masterclass. That is how you ended up here, right? And they'll also keep track of previous invites. If anybody says, no, I don't want to come, show up, it's going to be a very, very small percentage of people that is going to unsubscribe to your invites. They're also going to keep track of that, and they'll register these invitees manually into Zoom because there isn't a automated way to do that. There's also a long list of other things like cleaning lead lists, running lead lists through the email validation software, follow-up emails, ensure that emails land inside of inboxes, update banners for upcoming events, a whole, laundry list of things that your VA will do for you in order for you to get people into your webinar, book calls, and then close them. All right. So now the webinar itself, the content of the webinar, what should it have, right? Because you're running this webinar, but you need to know what you're going to talk about, right? So first you need to identify who is this webinar for. Now, we run 4 different webinars every single month. We run it for roofers, we run it for HVAC companies, we run it for agencies, coaches, and consultants, the one you're in right now. And then we also do it for remodeling businesses. So we run 4 webinars. We've identified 4 niche audiences for ourselves. You can do 1, 2, 3, as many as you want. But first, you have to identify what is going to be the audience of your webinar. You also need to figure out what problems you will solve for these guys, whether you're going to solve a social media problem, a video production problem, maybe they have a lead generation problem, whatever solutions that you have for them, you are going to need to, hone in on that. You're going to need to show case studies and testimonials of that service that you provide so that it builds trust and gives you social proof. And then at the end, just like this webinar, you will also need to have a Q&A session so that they are able to ask you questions. Now, the webinar funnel, just like it's designed over here on the slide, kind of goes like this. You invite your ideal customer profile to your webinar masterclass, just like for this webinar. You guys are the ideal customer profile because you either are involved in a coaching business, a consulting business, or an agency. You provide genuine value, so you show them how they can do this for themselves. You build trust, you book calls, and then you close them. All right, now the webinar right now that I'm showing you, if you're to take this as an example versus other methods, how does that look like, right? Because we talked about like running ads, maybe doing cold calling. What are the difference between running a webinar versus, these other methods? A webinar will build authority because you are getting people into a funnel which shows them that you have genuine authority or genuine knowledge about this topic. If you're booking calls via other methods, it's their first interaction with you, right? They have never seen you, they've never known you. It's the first time they clicked on an ad, maybe you did a cold call campaign. They have no idea who you are. So there's no authority there. It's their first interaction with you. A webinar also generates warm prospects, right? So basically what this means, if somebody comes to your webinar, they book a call with you, they already know you because they have come to your webinar. So they have, seen you present, one-on-one, and, they already know who you are because they have given all this information to you. They've also triggered a email sequence to you after the webinar. So there is a warm, cozy feeling about that. Someone who's just booked a call who you have never met, right? They know nothing about you. They're anonymous to you. You are anonymous to them. It's like kind of an awkward first date, if you will, because you don't really know who the person is and they don't know who you are. So, in this instance, gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling because you kind of already met them. So now you're just continuing that conversation onward. There's higher likelihood of conversion because they've already seen what you do. They've already gotten value from you, right? So now they trust you. So the conversion possibility is much, much higher. I'll give you an example. Last week, we booked 5 calls from a webinar that we did, and 4 of those calls led into follow-ups right away. Because, they already saw what we do, they saw value in it, and they just wanted to continue on the conversation. Now, the other biggest benefit of running a webinar is that you have the reach of one-to-many. Instead of booking one-on-one calls with cold prospects, if you're running a webinar, what you're doing, just like I'm doing here, I am making my voice heard to many of you at the same time, right? So this 30 minutes that I'm doing this presentation, I'm connecting with, let's say, 15, 20, 30 of you, instead of me going out and booking calls for each individual that I have no prior connection with, right? So it's a multi-reach, so one-to-many reach. And then also, this is quite relevant, the cost is inexpensive and fixed. You pay a fixed amount every single month to generate booked calls into your calendar. Obviously, very first webinar, you're going to learn a lot. And then every single webinar you do after that is just going to be like clockwork, because you're not rebuilding your whole webinar slides again. You're essentially using the same sort of presentation, maybe updating a couple of slides based on if the market has changed or new things have come up. But you're not really having to do any work to present, because you're presenting the same information over and over and over again, right? And it's fixed cost. You're not running ads. So to scale, you just have to get more people into the webinar. You don't have to spend extra money to run ads, and then spend extra money to pay someone to run your ads. So fixed cost versus variable, very high cost. Now I'm going to play this quick testimonial from another agency owner so you guys can check this out. I have Alicia with me today. She is an agency partner and also a client of ours. Alicia, if you don't mind introducing yourself and your company.
I'm Alicia. I am co-founder of the Spark Social. We're a social media marketing agency based out of Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island. We focus on working with local businesses, helping them scale using paid social media ads and also organic content.
How long have you guys been in business?
We started the Spark. My business partner and I merged our consulting agencies in 2019, so this is our 6th year.
Do you specialize in any specific niches?
We work with a lot of home service businesses, home improvement, so HVAC, solar, things along those lines, and certain types of medical practices.
I'm sure you get leads or calls booked in from your website. Why did you choose to go a webinar route as opposed to what you already have going on?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. So we definitely get referrals. We get traffic to our website from SEO. We have done paid ads, but a webinar really allows us to attract a niche audience, and we can add a little bit of education and value, building trust with our prospects. And also we saw how well it was working for you. And so we said, let's give it a try.
And how many attendees do you have registered currently?
Yeah, so this is our first go, and we have 60 people registered for our upcoming webinar.
Yeah, and I think you still have a couple of weeks to go, so you probably will get to 100. What do you hope to achieve from hosting this webinar?
We would love to get new clients. I know the onus is on me now. You got people to my webinar. That was your job, and you did amazing so far. I can't wait to see what happens for the next couple of weeks. But our goal is to close just a couple from each webinar, and that will help us scale our agency.
For those that are looking to scale their agency, what would you say to them?
I would say this process is amazing. Tegra has a really great process in place. They are really good about reminding me what I need to do. But honestly, they did a lot of the heavy lifting and guided me through getting this set up. There's no excuses. They really have nailed this process.
Appreciate that. And lastly, if you were to be completely honest, how much of your time has been spent in setting up this process or this webinar so that people that are watching this has an idea for what they would need to do?
I would say only about an hour a week. If you really can dedicate an hour to an hour and a half a week to get your content and things like that in order, your team really did a lot of the work. Like, it's a no-brainer. I just sat back and got updates about how many people were going to be attending.
We hope to see you on our webinar, but also wish you the best of luck for yours. And I hope you book a lot of calls and close a lot of clients. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
So that was a quick testimonial from Alicia. Just gonna give you a live example of calls booked so that you can see how these get booked into my calendar. So I'm gonna play this. Inside my Calendly account, I am showing you all the calls booked from this webinar event from the date range of December 18th, 2024 through January 15th of 2025. This webinar was held for the roofing industry. These are all the events that were booked in that webinar, and you can see that there are different types of events because we offer different types of services. So we had these links published in the chat session of the webinar, and these people booked these calls with me. All right, so now you know that the system works and how it works. I'm gonna just quickly go over what challenges you may face while running a webinar system. So the first challenge is you don't want your emails, your invites, just like you guys got invites from us, to go into spam, because then your audience will never know that you are doing a session. You want to make sure that your lead list is of quality. If it's not, then it will burn your domains, meaning if you're sending out invites to folks whose emails are not valid, then it will just burn the domains and you have to start the process all over again. It'll waste about a month of your time and resources. You want to also have the proper formatting in the emails. So we recommend no links in the emails. You got to have a disclaimer. There's a whole set of checklists that we have to go through in order for us to make sure that the formatting is accurate. You want to have content on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, whatever social media that you're active in, to show that you are, showing up to your audience. So the social media is just going to solidify your presence, obviously build your personal brand and build trust. So got to have some sort of social presence. And then you want to also be able to send reminders to the folks that have registered to come to your session, just like we sent you reminders, because people forget, things come up, life happens. Without having social content, it just doesn't build trust to your audience. So that's a key piece. Also, you got to have your targeting properly done, meaning the invites that you're sending out for your masterclass, for your webinar, has to be sent to the right audience, to the proper audience. If you send it to people that are not relevant because you bought a big lead list and it's not cleaned properly by your virtual assistant, then you will also get a low acceptance rate, meaning you will get a low attendance rate, a low booking rate for your masterclass. And then your personal branding has to be clear, specifically on LinkedIn. This is important so that people know what you're about, what services you offer, what value you provide. Otherwise, you'll kind of have a low conversion rate on your webinar. If you'd like to work with us or would like to learn more about how this works, feel free to book a chat with me. I will walk through the steps with you one-on-one. If you'd like, we can talk whether you would like to partner up for us to run this. You can keep your wallet at home. So it's not an expensive ordeal. I will have one of my associates, Olive, will drop the link in the chat to book a call with me. So you guys can go ahead and do that. What I'm showing you here are 3 pieces of content that I like to do. I like to do entertaining content. Maybe sometimes I'll do skits. I'll do educational content. I'll do podcasts with my audience. I also do portfolio videos where I show, maybe the results of a SEO campaign, pay-per-click campaign, maybe a new website that we did. We'll go over that as well. And then usually what we will do is we will use the same content across all social media platforms. An easy way to get a lot of content from one piece of content would be to do a long form, like a podcast, which I do, because one podcast will give you about a month and a half worth of content. So that's on the content side of social media. Now, what do you need if you'd like to work with us, or if you'd like to, partner with us to do a webinar masterclass? These are some of the criterias that we will need for you to have if you'd like to work with us. And those are: you need to have at least 10K in monthly recurring revenue. You need to have case studies, testimonials to show in the webinar. It must be in business for a year. And as long as you're not doing, as long as you don't provide services in these industries, we're happy to do your webinar or run your webinar for you, so that you can sit back and present and book calls. And that is essentially the end of this presentation. The only other thing that I'm going to show you is that you want to have a tracking system for all the tasks that are done for your webinar every single month. So in this case, I'm showing you our CRM, which is managing the webinar for Spark Social, owned by Alicia and Nicole. And these are all the different tasks that get done by the team, the virtual assistant team, that run this webinar for them. Thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate your attendance, and we wish you the best of luck. If you have any questions, feel free to book a chat. Thank you so much.